The Trap Springs captain Maria Santos stood on the bridge of the research vessel Pioneer's Edge, watching her crew work at their stations with practiced efficiency. The ship drifted slowly through the Kepler 442 asteroid field, its mining scanners sweeping back and forth as they searched for rare minerals. To any observer, they appeared to be nothing more than another human research team, desperately searching for resources to keep their struggling colonies alive. The bridge looked exactly like what it was supposed to be. Worn control panels displayed basic navigation data, outdated computer screens showed mineral composition readings, and the crew wore simple civilian clothing marked with the logo of the United Earth Mining Consortium. Dr. James Chen hunched over his geological scanner, occasionally calling out readings about iron deposits and trace metals. Lieutenant Sarah Rodriguez monitored their communications array, looking for any signs of trouble in the vast emptiness of space. The Pioneer's Edge itself appeared unremarkable. Its hull was painted the standard white and blue of civilian research. Vessels with large sensor arrays and mining equipment clearly visible on its exterior. The ship's registration identified it as a Class 7 research platform, designed for long-term survey missions in dangerous asteroid fields. According to all official records, the vessel carried a crew of 12 scientists and support personnel, along with basic defensive systems that would be useless against any real military threat. But appearances in space could be more deceiving than anywhere else in the universe. "Captain," Sarah called out from her station, her voice carrying just the right amount of concern for a civilian officer who had spotted something unexpected. "I'm detecting multiple contacts approaching from the outer edge of the asteroid field. Large signatures moving fast." Maria nodded calmly, maintaining her role as a concerned but inexperienced research captain. "How many ships, Lieutenant?" 20. "Contacts, ma'am. They're big ones too, each showing power signatures at least 10 times larger than ours." Sarah looked up from her screen with carefully practiced worry. "Captain, their energy patterns match Zephyrian Empire vessels." The other crew members on the bridge exchanged nervous glances that were not entirely fake. The Zephyrian Empire had been expanding aggressively through this sector of the galaxy for the past 5 years, conquering or destroying any civilization that stood in their way. They were known for their ruthless military tactics and their complete disregard for the rights of other species. Dr. Chen stood up from his geological station, his face showing genuine concern. "Captain, the Zephyrians have never shown mercy to any species they encounter. They either enslave populations or eliminate them entirely. Our mining data shows they've strip-mined dozens of worlds completely bare." Navigator Tom Wilson looked up from his charts with fear in his eyes. "Ma'am, if those are military vessels, we don't stand a chance. Our defensive systems are designed to handle asteroid impacts, not energy weapons." Maria walked to the center of the bridge, her expression showing the appropriate level of concern for a civilian captain facing an impossible situation. She had practiced this moment countless times, but the reality was still intense. "Sarah, when they contact us, put them on the main screen. Maybe we can convince them we're not a threat." The Zephyrian fleet emerged from behind the largest asteroids like predators emerging from cover. Their ships were massive and intimidating, each one bristling with weapon arrays and armored plating. The vessels were dark gray and angular, designed to strike fear into anyone who saw them. Each ship displayed the crimson lightning bolt symbol of the Zephyrian Empire, a mark that had become synonymous with conquest and destruction across dozens of star systems. On the bridge of the lead Zephyrian vessel, Commander Vex 9 studied the lone human ship with his 3 golden eyes. The Zephyrians were tall, insectoid creatures with chitinous exoskeletons and razor-sharp claws. They had evolved as hive hunters on a world where only the most aggressive survived, and they had carried that philosophy into space. Their empire was built on the principle that strength was the only currency that mattered in the universe. A single human research vessel, Commander Vex 9 clicked to his tactical officer. "They are even more pathetic than our intelligence reports suggested. Look at that primitive ship, barely capable of faster-than-light travel." His sensor officer, a younger Zephyrian named Keck 7, studied the readings carefully. "Commander, the vessel appears to be conducting mineral surveys. Its weapons are minimal, designed only for asteroid clearing. It poses no threat whatsoever to our fleet." Commander Vex 9's mandibles clicked with amusement. The humans have been expanding into our territory for months, establishing their weak colonies and mining operations. Today we send a message that will echo across their entire species. He turned to his communications officer. Open a channel to the human vessel. Let me speak with their captain. The main screen on the Pioneer's Edge flickered to life, showing Commander Vex 9's intimidating form. His voice was harsh and mechanical as the universal translator converted his clicks and hisses into English. Human vessel, I am Commander Vex 9, of the Zephyrian Third Strike Fleet. Your ship and crew now belong to the Zephyrian Empire. Prepare to be boarded immediately. Maria stepped forward, making sure to appear appropriately frightened. Commander Vex 9, we are a peaceful research vessel, conducting mineral surveys for the United Earth Mining Consortium. We have no weapons, and pose no threat to your empire. Commander Vex 9's three eyes gleamed with cruel satisfaction. Your species amuses me, human. You speak of peace while your colonies spread like infection across worlds that belong to stronger races, but you will learn the price of trespassing in Zephyrian space. Commander, Maria said carefully, perhaps we can reach some kind of understanding. Our research data might be valuable to your empire as well. The only understanding, Commander Vex 9 replied, his voice dripping with contempt, is that weak species exist to serve strong ones. You have 60 seconds to disable your engines and prepare for boarding. Any resistance will result in your immediate destruction. The screen went dark, leaving the bridge of the Pioneer's Edge in tense silence. Maria looked around at her crew, all of whom were watching her carefully. The moment of truth had finally arrived. Well, she said quietly, I think 60 seconds is more than enough time. Sarah Rodriguez pressed a series of controls on her communications panel. All stations, this is communications. The masquerade is over. Repeat, the masquerade is over. Suddenly, the entire bridge began to transform. The worn and outdated control panels slid away, revealing advanced holographic displays and quantum processors that hummed with barely contained energy. The simple chairs morphed into high-tech command stations. With neural interface capabilities, the walls themselves shifted, exposing hidden weapon controls and tactical systems that belonged on the most advanced military vessels in human space. Maria Santos straightened her shoulders as her civilian clothing dissolved away, replaced by the dark blue uniform of the United Earth Space Force. 5 silver stars gleamed on her collar, marking her rank as Fleet Admiral. Her crew underwent similar transformations, revealing themselves as elite military officers with years of combat experience. Tom, Admiral Santos said, her voice now filled with the authority of someone who had commanded fleets in dozens of battles. Drop the civilian transponder signal and activate our real identification. Yes, ma'am, Tom replied, his fingers dancing over controls far more sophisticated than anything found on a research vessel. Transmitting true vessel identification now. Outside the ship, the faded letters spelling Pioneer's Edge flickered and disappeared. In their place, bold new markings appeared. UES Prometheus, Experimental Warfare Division. The ship's hull itself began to shift and change as stealth plating retracted to reveal the sleek, predatory lines of humanity's most advanced prototype. Warship Commander Vex 9 watched in stunned disbelief as his sensors began registering readings that defied explanation. The small research vessel was suddenly showing power levels that exceeded his own flagship. Weapon signatures appeared all across the ship's hull, systems so advanced that his computers couldn't identify their purpose or capabilities. What is happening? Commander Vex 9 demanded of his sensor officer. How is that primitive vessel generating such massive energy readings? I don't know, Commander, Keck 7 replied, his voice shaking with confusion. Our sensors now show that ship producing more power than our entire fleet combined, and those weapon signatures are unlike anything in our tactical database. On the bridge of the Prometheus, Admiral Santos settled into her command chair with a satisfied expression. James, bring all primary systems online. Tom, charge the plasma cannons and prepare the phase shields. Plasma cannons charged and ready, Admiral, Dr. Chen reported from his weapons station. which now displayed holographic schematics of experimental systems that existed nowhere else in the galaxy. Phase shields at maximum power. Sarah, Admiral. Santos continued, "Drop all stealth protocols. I want them to see exactly what they're dealing with." "All stealth systems disengaged, Admiral," Sarah announced from her tactical position. "They're getting a full sensor reading of our capabilities now." Admiral Santos opened a communications channel to the Zephyrian fleet. Her image appeared on Commander Vex 9's main screen, but now she looked nothing like the frightened research captain he had threatened moments earlier. "Commander Vex 9, she said in a calm, professional voice, "I am Fleet Admiral Maria Santos of the United Earth Space Force vessel Prometheus. You are now facing the most advanced warship in human space, equipped with experimental weapon systems that your technology cannot detect, analyze, or defend against." Commander Vex 9 stared at the human admiral in complete shock. "Impossible. Our intelligence reports show that humans possess only primitive technology. Your species has barely achieved interstellar travel." "Your intelligence reports show exactly what we wanted them to show," Admiral Santos replied with a slight smile. "We've been feeding your spy networks false information for over 2 years. It's much easier to study potential enemies when they believe you're not a threat." The truth was far more complex than Commander Vex 9 could possibly imagine. The Prometheus was one of 24 identical vessels, each disguised as different types of civilian ships and deployed throughout the galaxy with a specific mission: to locate aggressive alien civilizations and assess the threat they posed to humanity's expansion into space. For 8 months, the Prometheus had been operating in this sector under its false identity, gathering detailed intelligence on the Zephyrian Empire's military capabilities, expansion patterns, and treatment of conquered species. What they had discovered was deeply disturbing. The Zephyrians had destroyed or enslaved 23 different alien civilizations in just the past decade. They showed no mercy to peaceful species and considered genocide to be an acceptable tool of conquest. But they had never encountered humans operating at full military capacity. "Sarah," Admiral Santos said, "I'm intercepting Zephyrian communications. They're attempting to contact their high command." "Jam all their long-range transmissions," Admiral Santos ordered. "I don't want word of this encounter reaching their leadership until we're ready to make our own announcement." Commander Vex 9 watched helplessly as his communication systems went completely dark. Every attempt to contact his superiors was blocked by electronic warfare capabilities that his technology couldn't even detect, much less overcome. "Human Admiral," Commander Vex 9 said, trying to maintain his authority despite the growing fear in his voice, "You may possess superior technology, but you are still outnumbered 20 to 1. Surrender now, and we will allow your crew to serve the Empire as slaves rather than dying in the void." Admiral Santos laughed softly. "Commander Vex 9, I think you're still fundamentally misunderstanding your situation. Sarah, show them what they're really facing." Sarah pressed a series of controls, and suddenly the space around the Zephyrian fleet came alive with activity. What had appeared to be empty space was suddenly filled with dozens of human ships, all decloaking simultaneously. Cruisers, destroyers, carriers, and support vessels appeared from nowhere, their advanced stealth systems finally revealing the carefully planned trap that had been months in the making. "You see, Commander," Admiral Santos explained as Vex 9 stared in horror at the human fleet now surrounding his forces. "We've been tracking your Empire's expansion into this sector for over a year. We knew you would eventually encounter human settlements, and we wanted to be absolutely ready when that moment came." Commander Vex 9 looked at his tactical displays in growing panic. His 20 powerful warships, which had conquered dozens of alien races, were now facing a human fleet of over 50 vessels, each one displaying technology that his scientists couldn't even begin to understand. "This is impossible, Commander," Vex 9 whispered. "Our scouts reported that humans had only primitive colonies in this region." "Your scouts saw exactly what we wanted them to see," Admiral Santos replied. "Welcome to humanity's first lesson, Commander Vex 9. We are not the primitive species you believed us to be when predators become prey." The Zephyrian fleet found themselves in a situation they had never experienced before. For the first time in their species' history of conquest, they were the ones who were outgunned, outmaneuvered, and completely surrounded. Commander Vex 9's tactical displays showed human ships in every direction, their weapon systems charged and ready, their shields at full power. Tactical analysis. Commander Vex 9 barked to his officers, trying to maintain some semblance of control over the rapidly deteriorating situation. Kex 7 worked frantically at his sensor station, his three eyes darting between multiple displays, showing data that made no sense according to everything the Zephyrians knew about human technology. Commander, the energy readings are unlike anything in our database. Each human vessel is generating power levels that exceed our most advanced dreadnoughts. Their weapon signatures suggest directed energy systems with focusing capabilities we've never encountered. What about their shields? Commander Vex 9 demanded. Unknown, sir. Our sensors can detect the presence of defensive systems, but we cannot determine their strength or operational principles. The technology appears to be based on quantum field manipulation rather than traditional energy barriers. On the bridge of the Prometheus, Admiral Santos was coordinating with her fleet commanders through secure quantum communications channels. The human vessels had taken positions that created overlapping fields of fire, ensuring that any Zephyrian ship that attempted to break formation would face concentrated firepower from multiple directions. Admiral, Dr. Chen reported from his weapon station. All fleet vessels report ready status. We have complete tactical superiority. Sarah, what's the status of Zephyrian communications? Admiral Santos asked. Still jammed, Admiral. Their long-range transmitters are completely blocked, but I'm monitoring their short-range tactical channels. They're becoming increasingly desperate. Admiral Santos nodded with satisfaction. The plan was working exactly as intended. For over a year, human intelligence had been carefully studying Zephyrian tactics and psychology. They had learned that the insectoid species relied heavily on overwhelming force and intimidation. When faced with superior opposition, they typically became confused and made tactical errors. Tom, bring up the tactical display, Admiral Santos ordered. Show me their formation. A three-dimensional hologram appeared in the center of the bridge, showing the positions of all ships in the engagement zone. The Zephyrian vessels were clustered in a defensive formation, but it was clear they had no experience with being the weaker force in a confrontation. Analysis shows they're attempting to mask their firepower, Tom reported. But their formation leaves them vulnerable to coordinated attacks from multiple vectors. They're thinking like predators who've suddenly found themselves as prey, Admiral Santos observed. They've never had to defend against a technologically superior force. Commander Vex 9 was experiencing the same realization. His entire military doctrine was based on the principle that Zephyrian technology and numbers would always be superior to any opposition they encountered. The concept of facing an enemy with better weapons and tactics had never been seriously considered. Weapons officer, Commander Vex 9 clicked urgently. Target the human flagship and prepare a full alpha strike. If we can destroy their command vessel, the rest of their fleet might retreat. Targeting systems locked on the human flagship, Commander. All weapons ready. Fire everything we have. The Zephyrian fleet opened fire with every weapon at their disposal. Plasma cannons, particle beams, and missile salvos erupted from 20 warships simultaneously, all focused on the Prometheus. The combined firepower was enough to vaporize a small moon, representing the concentrated military might of one of the galaxy's most feared empires. The weapon struck the Prometheus and simply disappeared. The ship's experimental phase shields didn't absorb the energy or deflect it. Instead, they shifted the incoming attacks into a parallel dimension where they could cause no damage. To the Zephyrian sensors, it appeared that their most powerful weapons had simply ceased to exist upon contact with the human vessel. Impossible, Commander Vex 9 whispered, staring at his displays in complete disbelief. Nothing could withstand that level of concentrated firepower. Commander, Kex 7 reported with barely controlled panic. Our weapons had no effect whatsoever. The human flagship shows no damage, no energy drain, no system disruption of any kind. Admiral Santos opened, a communications channel to the Zephyrian fleet. Commander Vex 9, was that your best effort? I have to say I'm somewhat disappointed. Our intelligence suggested your weapons were more advanced than that. The calm confidence in her voice was more unsettling to the Zephyrians than any threat could have been. They had just unleashed the full might of their fleet, and the human admiral was treating it like a minor inconvenience. Now, Admiral Santos continued, let me show you what human weapons are capable of. Sarah, target the asteroid designated Tango 7 and fire a single low-power shot from our main cannon. Targeting asteroid Tango 7, Sarah confirmed. Low-power quantum disruptor ready. Fire. A barely visible beam of energy lanced out from the Prometheus toward a massive asteroid roughly the size of a small city. The beam struck the rocky mass, and for a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the asteroid simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not vaporized, but completely removed from reality at the quantum level. The Zephyrian sensors registered the impossible event in stunned silence. One moment there had been millions of tons of rock and metal. The next there was empty, space with no trace that anything had ever been there. That was our lowest power setting, Admiral Santos explained conversationally. We have much more powerful options available if needed. Commander Vex 9 felt something he had never experienced before in his life: complete and total helplessness. His species had built their empire on the principle that superior strength always prevailed. But now he was facing beings whose technology made his most powerful weapons look like primitive clubs. What do you want from us? Commander Vex 9 asked, his voice barely above a whisper. An excellent question, Admiral Santos replied. Dr. Chen, transmit the intelligence package to Commander Vex 9's ship. Suddenly, the Zephyrian main screen was filled with data that made Commander Vex 9's blood run cold. Detailed records of every military operation his empire had conducted over the past decade. Complete tactical analyses of their weapons, ships, and strategies. Psychological profiles of their leadership. Economic data showing their resource allocation and production capabilities. We've been watching you for much longer than you realize, Admiral Santos explained. We know about the 23 civilizations you've destroyed. We know about your expansion plans into human space. We know about your military capabilities and your tactical doctrine. Most importantly, we know that your species has never shown mercy to anyone you've conquered. Commander Vex 9 stared at the data scrolling across his screen. The humans had intelligence on operations he thought were completely secret. They knew details about Zephyrian military plans that were known only to the highest levels of his government. However, Admiral Santos continued, unlike your species, humans believe in the possibility of redemption. We're prepared to offer you a choice, Commander Vex 9. What kind of choice? Commander Vex 9 asked suspiciously. You can order your fleet to withdraw from this sector and return to Zephyrian space. In exchange, we will not pursue you or retaliate against your empire at this time. Consider this a demonstration of human capabilities and a warning about what will happen if you continue your aggressive expansion. Commander Vex 9 was confused by the offer. In Zephyrian culture, showing mercy to a defeated enemy was considered a sign of weakness. You have us completely at your mercy. Why would you allow us to leave? Because, Admiral Santos replied, destroying your fleet would serve no purpose except to prove that we can do it. We prefer to achieve our objectives through demonstration rather than massacre. Your empire will learn far more from your survival than from your destruction. The concept was completely alien to Commander Vex 9's understanding of warfare. Throughout every Zephyrian military engagement, the goal was total destruction of the enemy. The idea that a technologically superior force would voluntarily show restraint was beyond his comprehension. There is, however, one condition, Admiral Santos added. You will return to your empire and deliver a message to your leadership. Tell them that humanity is not the primitive species they believed us to be. Tell them that we have been watching their expansion and preparing for eventual contact. Most importantly, tell them that we are capable of defending ourselves and our allies. And if they don't believe me? Commander Vex 9 asked. Then they will discover the truth the same way you did. Admiral Santos replied simply. Sarah, release their communication systems. Suddenly, Commander Vex 9's communication officers reported that their long-range transmitters were functioning again. He could contact his superiors and confirm the incredible story he would have to tell them. "You have 30 minutes to collect your scattered escort vessels and form up for departure," Admiral Santos announced. "After that, we will consider any Zephyrian ship remaining in this sector to be hostile." Commander Vex 9 looked around at his bridge crew, all of whom were staring at him with the same expression of shock and confusion. They had come to this system expecting to crush a weak human research vessel, and instead had encountered a demonstration of military technology that made their entire empire look primitive. "Navigation," Commander Vex 9 ordered quietly. "Signal all ships to form up for departure. We're returning to Zephyrian space immediately." As the Zephyrian fleet began to withdraw, Admiral Santos turned to her crew. "Sarah, make sure our reconnaissance drones follow them to the edge of the system. I want to know exactly what route they take back to their territory." "Understood, Admiral. Drones are already in position. Dr. Chen, compile a full tactical analysis of their weapons and defensive systems. I want every detail about their capabilities sent to Fleet Command." "Already working on it, Admiral. Their technology is actually quite impressive by Galactic standards. It's just not impressive compared to ours." Admiral Santos smiled at that observation. Humanity had spent the past century developing technology, not just for exploration and colonization, but specifically for the day when they would encounter hostile alien civilizations. Every human ship was designed with the assumption that they would eventually face enemies with superior numbers and different technological approaches. "Tom," Admiral Santos said, "prepare a message for Fleet Command. Tell them that first contact with the Zephyrian Empire has been successfully completed. According to protocol, the demonstration phase is complete. Message ready for transmission, Admiral. Send it. And Tom, add a personal note. Tell them that humanity is ready for whatever comes next." As the last Zephyrian ship disappeared into hyperspace, the human fleet began to disperse. Some vessels returned to their hidden bases, others resumed their covert intelligence-gathering missions, and a few took up positions to monitor Zephyrian space for any signs of retaliation. The Prometheus itself transformed back into the Pioneer's Edge, resuming its role as a harmless research vessel. But now Commander Vex 9 and the entire Zephyrian Empire knew the truth that humans had been carefully hiding. Humanity was not the weak, primitive species they appeared to be. They were patient, intelligent, and far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Most importantly, they were ready for whatever challenges the galaxy might throw at them. The age of humanity hiding in the shadows was over. The real story was just beginning.